At Direct Service Garage Doors, we are your one-stop shop for all things garage door. From garage door repair and broken spring replacement to new garage doors and openers, we do it all. We're proud to be among the highest-rated local garage door companies in all of Central Arkansas. Our highly trained technicians are available 24 hours a day at no extra cost to you. So if you have an emergency, call us today, 501-244-3667, or visit our website at directserviceoverhead.com. Don't wait days. We'll fix it now.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Hogville Net YouTube postgame show. We're going to talk about what we just witnessed. We'll get into all that and more. Shout out to Direct Service Overhead, the garage door company, the sponsor of the of Hogville Net YouTube. We do appreciate them. And alongside me tonight, filling in for Otis Kirk, is Kevin McPherson. Kevin, how are you feeling right now? How you doing? I guess is the question.
I'm doing all right. I know Razorback fans are hurting right now, and I think obviously the team and coaching staff are down after a tough one like that. And you got to give Texas A&M credit, Ty, but at the same time, I think Arkansas shot itself in the foot. That's obvious over a few plays. You never want to leave your chances on the leg of a kicker. And Cam Little's been good for Arkansas, but at the same time, you've had a lot of fourth quarter momentum in the last few games, and you had it in this game. And then that low snap was kind of a microcosm of just where Arkansas was right there, but just couldn't quite do what it needed to do to put its stamp on this game. And, Arkansas missed a lot of opportunities to have some program first for a long time. When you talk about Bama coming in ranked second undefeated next weekend to Fayetteville, you got to go back to 2010 when Ryan Mallett was a quarterback, when those two teams were, Bama was number one, Arkansas was ranked 10th, and that was a close game, but there was a lot on the line. Arkansas still got a lot to play for, Ty, and we're going to talk about this game, but I think, it changes complexions of things for the Razorbacks, but at the same time, to some degree, they still hold their own destiny. And who would have thought after A&M, by the way, lost to Appalachian State, they'd come back and beat two ranked teams? I know Miami's not very good after today's performance. But still, they were ranked at the time and ranked going into this game and today. And then Arkansas, of course, didn't play like the 10th ranked team, I didn't think.
No, they didn't. And I really don't know that they have all year, if I'm being real honest. I don't know that they've looked like a top 10 team. Thank you guys again for stopping by. We know Hog fans, this one stings. It does, especially the way it went after the first quarter. And then, of course, the missed opportunity there at the very end. We do appreciate you guys stopping by. Make sure you like, share, like, all the good stuff, and subscribe if you're new here. Go check out all the articles being written about this game over on hogville.net. It's all 100% free. Otis is at the game. Otis Kirk is at the game. That's why he's unable to join us tonight. And Kevin was kind enough to give us at least 15 minutes of his time. Then we'll have a gap time in between there, and then we'll have Dudley Dawson on, see what he has to say about the game as well. I really don't know, Kevin. After the KJ Jefferson Superman stretch to the end zone, which was 5 yards, 5.5 yards away. From that point on, it just felt like any momentum they had was just completely gone, and they never got it back.
Well, that's true. I think Arkansas did get some momentum in that fourth quarter, but again, you put yourself in a position where you're down 2 scores. Last week against Missouri State, you're down by 10 points with about 12 minutes to go, and they scored 21 answered. But this isn't Missouri State. As good as that team is in the FCS, defensively it was a matter of time before Arkansas just really started shredding that team. Got the big punt return. Let's not forget that put Arkansas on the lead for the first time in that game. It just wasn't that kind of game here. Arkansas wins, by the way, on the total yards. They had more yards passing, more yards rushing, dominated the first down action, third down percentages. But when you dominate it like they did on the field in the first half, and you're only up 1, and then the other team basically owns the third quarter to go up by 2 scores, 23 unanswered points to that point, stats don't matter anymore. What were the stats that mattered? Arkansas, for the second game in a row, does not force a turnover, loses the turnover battle. Only 1 turnover but man, was it huge. How many 98-yard scoop and lateral fumble recovery touchdowns have you seen in your life?
Never.
And then from that point on, I didn't think KJ was himself. I thought he was rattled. I thought he didn't play very well. Arkansas had 2 quick scoring drives to start this game. Defense was pitching a shutout, 4 consecutive 3-and-outs defensively. Yeah, A&M had some penalties in there, but Arkansas also had several tackles for loss. And then on offense, those 2 strike. The 2 touchdowns came with a total clock of less than 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And we saw that late against Missouri State, where Arkansas's quick, fast strike. But you notice when Arkansas tried to grind out some drives, it's when they cross midfield, they start trying to get cute with east and west plays that just blow up, put them behind the chains. I don't understand it. Now, they overcame it in that fourth quarter drive, which was their longest drive clockwise, almost 5 minutes. You saw Arkansas get back in within 2 at that point. You think, okay, here they go. Last week, 21 unanswered points in the fourth quarter to finish it. The week before against South Carolina, people forget this. Carolina got within 5, and Arkansas scored 23 points in the fourth quarter. So you thought maybe that first touchdown, that opening drive of the fourth quarter, that Arkansas might dominate, and they kind of did. They shut out A&M defensively, bend but don't break a little bit there. Again, penalties maybe helped them. But then that last drive, the low snap, and the ball scooting on the floor and putting Arkansas on 3rd and 14, now you're probably setting up for a field goal, and you just don't want to be in that situation. Even chip shots under that kind of pressure aren't givens. And then percentage-wise, we saw that today earlier with Auburn's big leg kicker. And Arkansas then doinks one off the top of the right upright, and you lose. You don't have enough timeouts and time on the clock to get it back.
What did you think of Kendall Briles' play calling tonight? You mentioned the getting a little cute on the A&M side of the field. We've seen this before, Kevin, and I'm not trying to put this on Kendall, by the way. I'm just saying we have seen this, the double reverse stuff. It hasn't really produced a lot of positive yardage outside of a Malik Hornsby run against South Carolina, I think. What did you think overall of his play calling tonight?
Well, obviously, it looked great in the first quarter. And aside from some of that stuff, I thought Arkansas stayed with what they thought would work was the running game, and it got them in a position to win the game. At the same time, they bogged down in situations where some of those play calls, I think, hurt them. Like I said, they overcame it. They had a couple of 4th down plays that KJ picked up on the ground, but they were in those situations, to begin with because of some what I thought was just silly play calling. So overall, we didn't see Rocket Sanders, have his game. He's been dominant, didn't have that kind of a game. Arkansas really mixed it up with 4 backs in this one, along with KJ, with his 3 touchdowns. But something else to point out, KJ's fumble, he's got 4 turnovers through 4 games now. And if he's putting up a lot of touchdowns, he's been very good percentage-wise passing ball, although not tonight, but overall, picking up yards on the ground and through the air. But, turnovers have really been a problem area for Arkansas in these last 2 games. 3 in the previous game, 1 today. And, when you don't force turnovers, you've got to be almost perfect. If you're committing turnovers, you almost have to be perfect when you have opportunities to come back in a game. And Arkansas just wasn't. The fourth quarter, there just wasn't enough. There just wasn't enough on that final drive. Again, the low snap, Arkansas fell on it, but that was pretty much the end of that drive. And you knew now it's coming down to a field goal.
Make sure you guys, again, like, share, and subscribe. And we do appreciate you for being here. And again, no, it's a tough one. That's a tough one to swallow. My God, that field goal off the upright there was just crazy. I thought for sure it was in. Kendall Briles taking a lot of heat tonight, and I already asked you about him. Barry Odom, though, tonight, I think he's taken a little bit too much heat tonight. I get they had a couple of drives. I think it was like 6 plays. One drive, it was 6 plays, 94 yards with 6 plays. Another drive was six plays, 70-something yards.
Yeah.
But they did force a field goal, and it's not like they gave up 45 points. And A&M is not a good offensive football team, but I really thought the defense, it was definitely bend, don't break. I don't think they broke a whole lot, and it's really hard to put, the fumble on KJ at the 5-yard line where they run it back 90+ yards. Obviously, you can't put that on the defense. I mean, it's not like it's not like they gave up a lot of points, but they did feel like at times like a wet paper bag on defense. It kind of felt like if A&M wanted to do something, they did it, and they were able to move. And some of it was luck too. That third down throw or 2nd and 15 throw where the guy is clearly under pressure, and he's able to dump it off and make.
Yeah, but here's the thing: they had a lot of dead duck floaters that landed in just with their receivers falling down. That tells you there's something wrong with Arkansas just coming to the ball and being in position to make a play because the ball's hanging. And you basically, your secondary did a good enough job to that point, I guess, if your defense is getting pressure on the quarterback, but lobbing up those floaters, and they pulled down several. One was a play where they where Poole pushed A-Chain out of bounds, and it was an incomplete pass. That was close, but that ball looked like it had no chance. Several of them were kind of similar to that. And I think the other thing is we saw A&M receivers again get behind Arkansas's defense, and they just missed connecting wide open on 2 or 3 of those. You had a big 3rd and 20 2nd and 30 that you forced.
Oh, gosh.
And then they come in and throw the ball about 10 yards, and the guy, no one's around him. He runs, so he gets a 32-yard gain to set him up with a first down. You get someone at 2nd and 30 at their 46-yard line, you're thinking you might get off the field without even giving up a field goal attempt. Instead, they pick up the first down and go in and score. So, I look at it like I don't think Arkansas secondary held up. It looked good in the first quarter. I think overall it made some plays. Might have gotten away with a pass interference call in the end zone with Clark there.
I
thought he was holding a little bit before the ball got there. Maybe some of that hand jabbing between players at the end of a play is not as bad as it is. But he kind of held the guy and rode him out before the ball got there. But Arkansas, got away with that one. And I think the other thing is, look at A-Chain's 63-yard run. We keep talking about the fumble return for a touchdown. To that point on that run, A&M's backed up at its 7-yard line. Arkansas's up 14-0, has not given up a first down. He busts a 63-yard run. Missouri State and South Carolina, neither one of those teams ran for that much yardage on the ground in either of those games, entire games.
Yeah.
40 yards for one of those things, 52 for the other, 63 yards on one play. And then he had a really nice couple of more nice drives as they moved into the red zone. And then I thought that 3rd down pass by their quarterback, another one of those floaters, but Arkansas's defensive back was turned around. That was a huge play because it got him some confidence as well to go along with A-Chain. So Johnson had a decent game relative to what he looked like early and the fact that he's just in his 2nd game. And I thought A-Chain was a huge difference maker because of his ability. We talk about Alex Collins and reading cuts, but this guy has an extra gear that most players don't have when he gets north and south, and then he's still got some wiggle in there too when he's downhill. So there was a lot of problem areas for Arkansas's defense tonight that I don't think pass run they saw in the previous games combined when you talk about 1-2 punch pass and run.
You talk about A-Chain, another guy that unfortunately, and we hope he's okay. I think I don't know, but Aeneas Smith, who didn't make any. He had one big play, but there's no doubt that was a pretty big impact on their offense, Kevin. That was a big blow to their offense.
No doubt, and a lot of players for A&M on the field tonight injured. I only bring it up because it seemed to be abnormally a large amount. I'm not making light of that. Arkansas won the penalty battle. By the way, Arkansas's had struggles with penalties. We know that. In this game, not so much. Only 3 for 30. And of course, A&M had double that. I think 9 for 65, so more than double the yardage. But again, it just shows you, even in a low turnover game where there's only one, when it's a scoop and score from that far out and a play that's going to be that's a replay that's in the top 10 on SportsCenter all night long, right into tomorrow. That's going to be one of those that might be on the college football rewind reel of the season of plays that mattered for the whole season. That's probably going to be in there. But when you lose the turnover battle 1-0 and it immediately leads to points, and it's not just the points, it was the fact that put A&M, no matter how bad it had been. Because let's face it, Arkansas gives up that long drive, up 14-7. They come back and respond with their own drive down to basically the goal line. Mm-hmm. 1st and goal from the 3. That play, obviously was the biggest play of the game. And then you only have to count up 2 or 3 more serious snafus by the Hogs that just did them in.
They
in a game where they pretty much dominated. I say dominated. They had more yards. They had so many areas where they were better, just not in those plays where they needed not to fall apart when they did.
I like what Ash said here. That play felt like North Texas all over again. It kind of did. It had that feel. It really did, watching that unfold. And I thought they were going to blow a whistle. I had my neighbor over here, Alex, watching it with me, and I was like, did they not blow the whistle? And he just hands the ball off. The guy runs down the field and scores. It was kind of wild. And they shouldn't have blown the whistle. It was good that they didn't.
No, it was a clean play. And I don't know, did he hand it off as much as the guy took it, or were they figuring it out and improvising as he kind of got spun around? That's the kind of play that give them credit. That kind of play that all teams would love to have somewhere along the line to turn a game for them. And for Arkansas, it went against them tonight. And I just think, we go back to play calling. Again, Arkansas ran the ball. They stuck to that running game. Maybe they should have tried to test the secondary of A&M or try to get over the top of it a little bit. Yeah. It seems like when Arkansas tried, and sometimes it's scheming, it's just not there, but it seems like KJ's been really good in situations where he's throwing deep. And I don't know that there was enough of that. I got to go back and look at the pass attempts in this game, but I think in this one it might have been fewer than 20 pass attempts. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I don't have the stats in front of me.
It was he was 12 and 19 for 171 yards, 2 touchdowns. His average, I think this is per completion. I'm not good at math. If for anyone who's followed me long enough, they're aware of this, but I think that's 9 yards per completion. He did have 100 yards on the ground, so he did end up with over 250 yards of offense, 3 total touchdowns. It wasn't a bad day for him, but it was it's like you have to that play is the highlight of the game. The fumble, that's the highlight, and he's going to have to shake this off. I want to ask you,
and he missed some receivers, by the way, Ty. After that, there were times where Arkansas just was sputtering on offense, and he had chances and just kind of missed guys. I think his confidence was shook. I really do.
I do
Here's
too.
a veteran guy. He's going to be okay, but I think that rattled him for a while until that fourth quarter, and he started making plays again, and Arkansas had a chance.
Chris M says too many mistakes, plain and simple. I think you're dead on, Chris. I had Arkansas, my too early pick, because that's the trendy thing to do. I did a too early pick. I had him at 9-3. Then I went down to 8-4, and I had people telling me that I was crazy. Or I had a few people, not a lot. Most of the community were fine with it, but I'm not prepared to back off 8-4. I look at this game as they left so many points on the field, a lot of mental mistakes. But they cleaned up penalties, Kevin. I mean, this is a team averaging something like 7 penalties a game. I think they had 3 in this entire game. You take away one play, you win the game. I mean, I think I know it's probably not that simple, but I feel like you take away one play, you beat and by the way, they moved the ball on a salty defense in the first quarter when they went up 14-0. And then, like you said, he fumbled the ball and he wasn't the same after that. I don't know about the double reverse calls. I was kind of hoping not to see those, but when I saw Hornsby on the field, I knew it was coming. I did. So as I saw him run out on the field, I said, well, here comes a reverse or double reverse, and we saw how that ended up.
You didn't really see Arkansas make plays on the edges like they have in the previous 3 games, even when they weren't trying trickery. So it might tell you maybe these east-west slow developing trick plays aren't so great when we're having a hard time getting on the edge. The one exception, I think, was the little screen pass or bubble pass, whatever they call them now, for the touchdown to Keatron Jackson, that got Arkansas on the board. Aside from that, and Arkansas did have the big play over the top. I shouldn't say they didn't. After the first quarter, they didn't test it enough. They obviously had the one that went for that 56-yard touchdown. So they did have one. But to me, they just left. They kind of abandon that. I think you still have to take some shots. I'd rather see them take a shot when they cross midfield than to go east-west with 3 guys touching the ball or however many, I mean, it looked like a Harlem Globetrotter. And even the Globetrotters don't do that in their game. They just do it in warm-ups, for everybody before they play. So I don't know.
James says, are we unranked after this? No. You lost a tight game against a ranked opponent. You're not unranked. They do obviously drop out of the top 10. Tennessee won today. I think had you even won this game, you'd probably swap places with Tennessee and maybe maybe even more. Actually, Tennessee might jump a couple spots after their win. But no, they're going to fall out of the top. I would guess they might still be in the top 20. I think they'll still end up being in the top 20. If you're that concerned about rank. Right now, I'm just concerned about Alabama.
Right. Well, and this A&M team, I suspect, is not going to go undefeated from here on out.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, and Arkansas can come back home and take care of business next week, Ty. And then you still are playing for the SEC West, I believe.
Yeah.
Obviously you've got Ole Miss, but where do you play Ole Miss? Get them at home.
Yeah, you get Ole Miss. I was thinking Mississippi State. I was about to say Starkville.
No, you're on the road for Mississippi State. That won't be easy. There's not really many easy games in the SEC. South Carolina, who I don't think is very good, proved to not be that easy. Arkansas had to, kind of pour it on late.
Yeah.
I think they forced all three of their turnovers in that fourth quarter. So Carolina was right in that game. So there's no easy Saturday. But Arkansas has plenty to play for here. It's a shame, though. I mean, if you go 2-0, Arkansas hasn't been 2-0 in SEC to start SEC play since back in 2006 under Houston Nutt. That team, by the way, got killed by Southern Cal, won 10 in a row. Remember?
Yeah,
started 7-0 in SEC play. Ended up going to the SEC championship game and lost a tough one to Florida. How about the muff punt in that game that turned everything around?
Oh my God.
Sometimes Arkansas fans remember all the plays that blew up a situation. The good news here is that happened in an SEC championship game. This one happened in game 4. Yes, you lose, but Arkansas. I mean, I wouldn't even say at this point that Arkansas is out of a playoff contention. People might laugh at that. But if you win the West and you don't suffer another loss, somehow do that and get to the title game and upset Georgia, you're in that playoff.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's a silly comment to make, coming right off a loss in game 4 the way Arkansas lost, but.
Well, I listen. I remember, I was at the USC game when they came to town and beat the brakes off of us. Felix Jones fumbled the ball, I don't know, 15 times. They ran us out of our own stadium, and the rhetoric then, of course, Twitter wasn't a thing, but the rhetoric then was, oh, we're not going to win. We're going to be lucky to win 5-6 games. Yeah. Obviously that USC team was great. I mean, A&M is not that team. I get it, but I hear what you're saying. I do still feel like a lot of games are within reach. I'm not prepared to back off 8-4 yet. This game to me, I do think Arkansas is what they are, but that doesn't mean that they're already starting to correct some things. They're really good at getting after the quarterback. I think they ended up with 3 sacks tonight.
Yeah.
We got to see some younger guys play too. Jordan Crook actually played. I don't know if anyone spotted that. Jordan Crook came in and played a little bit. I think the future's still bright this year, but they've just a lot of work on defense, Kevin. A lot of work.
A lot of work
and the mistakes.
Well, look, and going back to that 2006 season that I was talking about, that also happens to be the last time Arkansas beat Alabama. So how cute is that stat? I mean, Arkansas needs to get over that hump and quick. And I guess 6 days from now, 7 days from now, there's no guarantees with Bama. There's usually a guarantee that, it's going to be physical and that Bama's going to come out on top. That's what it's been like in the Arkansas series, whether they're blowing Arkansas out, Arkansas finds the way to hang in. Not very often, but the times they have, they just, it seems like Bama's dominated fourth quarters. Last year, Arkansas goes on the road and shows well, just can't stop Alabama with this defense in the secondary. And we know who the quarterback is on the other side, that this could be another game. This is why Arkansas can't afford to lose turnover battles. They can't afford to have penalties. We're much better on that part of it tonight. And so these are things that you hope for if you're an Arkansas fan going into next weekend, you're playing your A game and you're not having, 3 or 4. Because this game really, outside of the fumble return, probably was two or three other plays that Arkansas, I think it's 2 or 3 plays away from Arkansas winning by 14. If that may sound weird, but honestly, I don't think if A-Chain busts that big run, I mean, it happened.
Yeah.
The fumble, the scoop and fumble return, and then the kicking the ball, snapping the ball down on the ground. And I just think that you take away a few plays and Arkansas's probably 2 touchdowns better than this team on most nights.
I know that's the homer thing to say. I know it is, but I don't think the better team won tonight. I really don't. I think Arkansas is the better team. By how much exactly, I don't know. But the Hogs, I think, are better. I really can't explain. I still can't explain that KJ stretch out play. I can't wait to get Dudley's response on that as well. Kevin, thank you so much, man, for taking a little bit of time out of your Saturday evening to come and give us your thoughts on the game.
Yeah, I'm going to go in the backyard now in the dark and work on my jump over the pile play. I think I understand if you're not at the 2-yard line or a little closer in, even at KJ's size, I think that was a bit of an early launching point. Obviously, I mean, it's obvious to pick on that now, right?
It is, and it's easier in hindsight, being 2020 and everything. But like, man, I mean,
before he lost the ball, I was like, did he really just leave his feet right here? I mean,
yeah, that's bizarre. That was bizarre. I'm going to say that's one of the most bizarre plays because of how far away he was from the goal line. It was just, I don't know.
They'll learn from it.
Where he was at. What's that?
We think they'll learn from it, right?
We think they will. So I guess time will tell. They've got a lot of fix for to get ready for Bama coming into town. Also, I don't think game day's coming now. I could be wrong. I don't think that's happening.
Oh, yeah.
Which is unfortunate. Seems like that happens a lot. Arkansas's that close to getting game day here, and then something like this happens. Kevin, thank you so much, man. I'm going to bring Dudley in. Look forward to talking to you soon. We're going to talk some basketball next week.
That's right, Ty. Let's gear it up. Crank it up. All right,
let's
man.
do it. Take it easy, man.
All right, man. You too.
All right. Here he is, Dudley Dawson. I don't even know where to start with it. I guess, what are your takeaways from this, Dudley? Is all hope lost? Should Arkansas fans just throw their hands up in despair?
Well, I think you can throw your hands up in despair because you should have won this football game. You didn't win this football game. You didn't win this football game because of the mistakes you made, not necessarily anything that Texas A&M did. You got to give Texas A&M credit. They beat Miami and Arkansas now after losing to Appalachian State, so I'll give them credit on that. But I will never, ever understand, no matter whether it's Kendall Browse, Kellen Moore, whoever, when you have something working and working well, to get cute. And Arkansas started going east and west with, Malik Hornsby. I didn't get it. When he comes in the game that he's going near the ball. Whether he gets it or not, that's another story, but he's going near the ball. It's not a surprise. It was highly publicized. And I thought that was just a departure from what they were doing that had been successful. And I think it's the biggest reason that they lost the football game. I know about the turnover. I know about the leap from KJ. But I think that, if you continue to do what you were doing, you won that football game probably going away.
It felt like it did feel like when A&M started crawling back, or I say crawling back, when they got on the board, it still felt like Arkansas was in full control. Now I realize they didn't score again until the fourth quarter. They had some second and third quarter they didn't score, but it still felt like, based on what had happened in that first quarter, well, they're going to be fine. They're moving the ball with ease against a really good A&M defense. Their run defense was sus, and we saw that today. Arkansas going to be the first team this year to rush for over 240 yards. I don't think they've given up 200 yards on the ground yet, but they have given up a couple 175 games, 160, 175, something like that. Arkansas was able to move the ball on the ground, through the air. They weren't bad. Did you Kevin made a good point. He thought maybe they should go over the top a little bit more. What were your thoughts overall on KJ's performance tonight? And do you think he probably should have stretched the field out a little more?
Well, uneven. I think that, I would have liked to have seen a few more passes, but I'm a guy who just talked about power football, and I would have rather seen more of that as well. Again, on that one drive, I'm going to look back and I'm going to point to that forever. Brought it up right at that point while watching the game, and no looking back now. I thought that was a turning point. Obviously, you don't leap from the 3-yard line. KJ Jefferson's a fantastic quarterback, a fantastic young man, but he's not Michael Jordan. And the leap from the 3 or wherever it was, it seemed like the 3.
Felt like the 5.
It was just too far back. You are a big, strong young man. just run over somebody, and that's what he usually does. He hasn't been in the press conference yet, so he hasn't given any details on why he thought that was the best play. I do not believe it was a called jump from the sidelines. I do believe it was a called, quarterback run, but not the leap. Made plenty of mistakes, still had a chance to win it at the end. I felt very comfortable with Cam kicking the field goal, and I bet if he did it another 100 times, it wouldn't hit the upright. Now, he might miss some of them, probably make a lot of them, but it wouldn't hit the upright. But I'd already counted it as good, and then it doinked the upright and came out. And you feel for him. You feel for Ricky Stromberg, who is a fantastic center, one of the best in the country. He will be highly drafted, but you have to look back at that snap. It went from 2nd and 5 to 3rd and 14. That changed your play.
It did.
It was an additional 8 yards or whatever it is that you could have had for the field goal, and it probably doesn't drift and hit that upright if it's that. But there's just so many mistakes to look back. There's a lot of good things that happened as well, but they're going to have a tough time getting over this one. And you've got a team coming here next week that could easily crush you. I mean, just crush you if you let this one affect you too much. You could play a perfect game and still lose to Alabama. We've seen teams do that before. They just finished up a 55-3 routing of Vanderbilt. And they're going to come here, 2:30 game in the afternoon. It's going to be, I'm sure, a fantastic atmosphere, but nowhere near what it would have been if Arkansas had gotten this win.
It feels like that opportunity. Like I was telling Kevin, game day, I feel like you just lost it. If I'm being honest, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they still come. I don't know. And I know that's a big deal. Fayetteville people, they celebrate that, and obviously the university. That's great. It's great marketing for the university, but I think they may have lost it. No doubt. If you're undefeated, you're probably top 8. You've got Bama, who's top 3. I think they were a lock to come. I really do. There's some big games that week, but nothing like that atmosphere would have provided in Fayetteville. But that's unfortunate. Did you get the same vibe after that fumble? And I know you probably did, but I want to know your thoughts after that. After that, the 90 whatever yard fumble recovery for a touchdown. Did you get the same vibe? Kevin and I kind of talked about a little bit that KJ just could not recover.
I think, maybe there's something to that, but I think more of it, what it was got Texas A&M up off the deck. They had some belief probably that they could get back in it. And then when you have a play like that, you have to believe you're destined to come out on top. Obviously when they didn't get their field goal to go through, and Arkansas started running the ball, and I'm sitting there and telling my wife, Patrick, you can't depend on field goal. You got a great field goal kicker, but you got to go ahead and go stick that in. And I think that's, should have been the deal. Obviously the snap happened right after then. And that, that kind of changed the whole mindset. I guess you had to get it into a good position for the field goal. But just so much to criticize, and a lot, that you can say they did well. I still think this is a good football team. I haven't been on the great football team bandwagon yet. I thought they should be ranked in the top 10 because that's, the way they finished up last year and they hadn't lost. But obviously they're going to drop out of the top 10 this week. I'm sure they'll stay in the top 20. And if you get boat raced by Alabama, then you might find yourself slipping toward the bottom of the 25. And October is about to be a tough month.
Yeah, that's going to be really tough. It's probably going to. I mean, I know BYU lost at Oregon, and Alabama hasn't looked like what I thought they would look like on the offensive side of the ball this year, especially with a Heisman quarterback and everything that they had back. I also know they've lost some guys. I think there's been some complaints about their offensive line play and so on and so forth. But yeah, October looks brutal. I mean, this really could be the beginning, and I don't want to be, negative here, but this really could be the beginning of a brutal losing stretch here, because you lose to A&M, you got Bama, you're on the road in Starkville, and then you're on the road against BYU. Auburn right now is like the only game I look at in this stretch where I'm like, okay, I feel decent about that game. But
well, there's a big difference in being negative and being a realist, and I think what you are is being a realist. If Arkansas was playing Troy or somebody like that next week, I still would be worried because of the way they lost this football game and the needing to get back up and all that.
Yeah,
I think that Arkansas will come out and play better. The turnover obviously was killing. You cannot have that. The turnovers last week made you look bad. You can be a really good football team and you can be a comparable football team, which I think these two teams really were tonight. I don't think one is necessarily, negligible better than the other. But when you have an 82-yard fumble return, when you have, the mistakes that they made, it's just going to be. I saw someone here talk about if Arkansas had played boring football, I think they would have won. That's probably true. I go back to my God, I guess if they'd have hit that double pass, we'd all thought, hey, that was pretty successful. But I just didn't see it there either. You were moving the football. I'm not. I look at myself in the mirror. I'm not about being cute. Football field or whatever. And, I grew up playing for Bill Keaty in Newport, and we ran the football. We had a balanced offense. We threw it once right, once left, and once over the middle during the football game, and ran it the other 50 times with Billy Warren. So that's always, colored my thoughts on rough, tough football. And that's what this guy, that's what Sam Pittman, has built his resume on is north-south running. I can remember when he was here as an offensive line coach, and they went left and right in one game. He came back next practice, took his feet off and questioned going north and east and west to the north and south. I always think north and south is the right play.
Yeah, I kind of thought the same. And like I said, when Hornsby came on the field, I knew what was coming. I feel like obviously A&M did as well. Mr. T-Dub says Sam Pittman just kind of snapped at Bob Holt. Holt questioned KJ Hornsby. What am I trying to say? Kendall Browse Hornsby's calls when he was not having it. I guess apparently he snapped at Bob
legitimate
Holt
question. I would have asked it if I'd have been there tonight, and I'm sure that if Bob hadn't, somebody else will. Sometimes the Arkansas media gets criticized for not asking tough questions. I disagree with that, but I do think that was a very legitimate question. And I can understand, I've already been snapped at once this year by Shane Beamer from South Carolina for a very innocuous question. I understand when coaches lose that it's tough to do things, but I'm sure that, after he settles down and all that Coach Pittman will, reach out to Bob and apologize, or at least, give him a better understanding of why that question was, got up under him.
Someone in chat says that Bob Holt, doesn't ask the best questions. I'm going to tell you something. A lot of his questions that he asks are for articles that he is writing. So I would, I think the media asked the questions that I think they've done a really good job. I know because I'm there, and you guys, these videos get uploaded on YouTube. You hear them, you hear what they're at. I think they do just fine. All things considered, this is, it's not always, sometimes you just don't ask the right question, but I feel like the media for the most part does a really good job asking questions. I get it. Everyone gets a little grumpy sometimes with the questions that are asked, but sometimes you need to understand too, they're probably for a specific article, and Bob Holt does exactly that.
That being said, that's a legitimate question.
It is.
I just came on here in the first 5 minutes. I railed on that, and I will continue to rail on it.
Yeah. Well,
Kendall Browse and Sam Pittman, anybody else can get upset. It's a legitimate question. You were doing what you were doing, and then you went away from it.
Well, there was the question last week about the 4th and 9 call, the 4th and 9 run. And Sam's response, I thought it was, I don't know if he was trying to be funny or if it was kind of a maybe snarky response. I don't know how to put it. I'm not suggesting that Sam was being snarky. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't, but he kind of said, well, he turned around and he handed the ball off and he ran and he got 5 yards. He didn't get the first down, and the ref said it was the other team's ball. But I think those are legitimate questions to ask, and I do agree. And I think that's kind of what we're paid to do.
I don't care where the safeties are on 4th and 9, especially if they're up in the box. But I just didn't see the play call. And sometimes a play left uncalled is better. Sometimes it's better just to punt. In marriage, and you probably know this, that there are a lot of times when I know I may have the better argument, but I punt on 3rd down because I realize, I need to get to the next series of downs.
Oh, if my wife is listening to this, she's gonna go amen. I guarantee you. Yeah, no, you're not wrong. Sometimes you just gotta pick your battles every once in a while. Got to be smart with it. I've been married since 2006, the year Arkansas beat Bama. So that's the year I got married. Ash wants to know, why does the offense seem to stall when we're up 14-0? That's actually a good question. We have seen them things. It's almost like they just are inept at putting teams away. Dudley, this happens. It seems, and this happened last year too. It felt like they just were so close at putting a team away, and then something happens. And I don't know that it's always on the offense, but with tonight, it certainly looked that way, especially with the reverse calls to Hornsby.
Yeah, and that goes back to the same thing I've been drilling here. I think you do what you needed to do to get to the 14-0. Play action passing, I think, would have been. I kept sitting there watching their defensive line, their linebackers jump into the hole, thinking just play action pass every one time. And I think they've got, some very legitimate wide receivers. All of them have dropped a pass here or there. But Warren Thompson was wide open when KJ, made a little move inside the pocket there. KJ is not Joe Montana. He's not Roger Staubach. I go back for some old names, but he's also not, somebody who can't throw the ball around. He's not a running back playing quarterback. He's a quarterback.
No, yeah,
who just happens to run the ball well, and he can deliver the pass, as we've seen tonight. As you and Kevin were saying, yeah, probably would have helped to have a lot more deep shots. But again, I'm going to go back to just continue to pound the football if that's what you're doing. Yeah. What was it, 178 to 23 offensive yards total offense at one point, and then Arkansas goes in the third quarter and runs 8 plays.
Yeah.
Don't sit on it. Punish people.
It is baffling, and they were getting, for a while, it was like it didn't matter who touched the ball, like no matter who had the ball, as long as they were running north-south, they were picking up what they needed. They were getting 6-7 yards. They were setting up second and short, second and 2, second and 3, and it felt like, well, this is working just fine. We're going to continue to do this, and then we get on their side of the field. And it's like they just throw everything else out the window. Like, now, you know what? Let's go ahead and run these double reverse plays. Let's go ahead and try to go east-west. Let's get a little cute. It does not make sense. We've seen it time and time again. I'm not saying Kendall Browse is a bad OC. No, they don't need to fire him. That's crazy. But I just don't understand. And sometimes, too, last year, my big issue was situational play calling. And that was something I harped on quite a bit last year. I feel like they've actually maybe done a little bit better. They're not doing double revert or double passes behind their 10-yard line like we saw them do with Burks last year. We're seeing less of that, but then it's like they wait till they get to the other side of the field to start making these kind of bizarre calls.
Coach Pittman has addressed that in the press conference since we've been on here. He says that Kendall Browse is a damn fine offensive coordinator, that he believes in what he's doing, and I think it should point out that any play that goes out there has the final approval of the head coach. He can always, call the play off if he doesn't like it or whatever. But I did see the note there. Yeah, Kansas State is up 41-27 on OU, and Kansas State, who lost to Tulane last week, and Tulane's an adequate ball club and all that. But yeah, that's going to be another upset. And Middle Tennessee State going and beating Miami today. There are tough football games out there, but I don't think Texas A&M beat Arkansas tonight. I think Arkansas beat itself.
And I'll say it again. I do think Arkansas is better. By how much, I don't know. Maybe it's a slim margin, but I do think they're better. I do, and I'll say this too, Dudley. This game, if this were a home and home, I think there'd be some more wins in Arkansas's favor over the last decade. I do. I think there would be, because we know how rowdy that Fayetteville crowd can get. Or let's just say in pretend world they wanted to play in Little Rock. I don't care. I think there would be some more, favorable games, in Arkansas's favor with a home and home. I'm really glad Hunter Yurchek kind of, I guess, more or less said this thing's coming to an end soon. I know you like playing there because that's where your Cowboys play.
Well, I can drive down and see the Cowboys play there anytime. I do believe it's better to be home and home. I didn't think that at first. I thought it would be a help recruiting. The head coaches who have been there during that time didn't use it the way they should have. Let's be honest about that. I think Sam and his staff will use it a little bit better, but it's time to go back home and home. When you do not have a home game in Fayetteville until October in 2023, something's wrong.
That just can't happen. Like, that should not be the case. I'm sorry. That's just ridiculous. And Hunter Yurchek picked up on that. Brian Fraser says, okay, Ty, he's got to get better then, talking about Kendall Briles. I'm not saying that of course he's got to get better. He's nobody's perfect, and I hear what you're saying. Tonight was not a good night for either side of the ball overall. They made mistakes, but he also didn't fumble the ball. He also didn't try to stretch out what felt like an eternity to try and score the way that KJ did. I'm sure he didn't tell him to do that. You're not Michael Jordan, KJ. Don't do that. And I'm sure that's something they're going to try and correct, but
you're not even Montel Jordan, who's a pretty good athlete and a singer, but I mean, he might have been able to get there because he's 6'7". But I just, I don't know that I want to criticize the play calling too much overall, but I will criticize it when they were up 14-0 and you got cute.
Yeah. The cutesy stuff it's just, man. I mean, I could kind of understand it if you've got a 28-0 lead or something and you just want to get a little cute, whatever. Okay, fine. But in these close game scenarios, I don't understand.
Hornsby didn't even see the field last week. And Hornsby didn't even see the field last week, and you decide up 14-0 was a good time to try this stuff.
Yeah, Brian, I know. I said, did I say KJ? I know you're talking about. I know who you're talking about. KJ is not Jordan. Oh, sad. I didn't proofread this, so hold on a second. Sad because if KJ gets down, KB probably has him run at the very next play. Well, and I don't know that. Well, I don't know. I mean, you'd have to have a crystal ball to know that. I mean, maybe, but we've also seen him down inside the 5. We've also seen him. I think he's called okay game down inside the 5. He gets a little not experimental, but he tries different things. I mean, he'll line some guys up and use someone as a decoy. He did that last year with Treylon Burks, and he gave the ball to Dominic Johnson. He motions Treylon Burks in behind KJ. The defense keys in on Treylon Burks, and KJ turns around to his left, hands the ball, and Dominic's free for an easy 2-yard gain or an easy touchdown. We saw that last year, and we've seen a little bit of that this year. Air Jefferson, but the cutesy stuff going east-west, trying to get a little cute on the other side of the line or on the other side of the field is just something I'm sure fans are going to harp on. I wanted to ask you too, really quick. We did get to see Dominic Johnson tonight. What did you think of their usage of the running backs tonight? KJ, of course, led in carries, but then he had Raheem Sanders with 17 for 68, AJ Green 9 for 36, Dominic just 5 carries for 32 yards, and then we saw Rashad Dubinion, who came in and really sparked some life into the offense with those 2 carries that he had. What did you think of the way they used the running backs tonight?
Well, they clearly trusted Dominion down the stretch, and that was an interesting thought. He does have a little bit more burst than Dominique. Dominique's obviously a little bit bigger. Rocket, has been able to, obviously he was leading the SEC rushing going into the weekend. I don't know, how that will end up here, but clearly they have plans in the future for Rashad Dominion, and yes. I would say that AJ Green's carries are probably you better get going, or Rashad Dominion is going to come up and grab some of those, and his shiftiness that he showed on those two. And again, what did he do? He went north-south, man, north-south.
On both those carries. And I thought he was going to get more. I thought they're going to keep feeding him. I mean, he had a 14-yarder, and then, of course, he doesn't get as much on the next, but he still, off 2 carries, almost 9 yards. And then Dominic Johnson came out like he was shot out of a cannon, and then we didn't see him again. It was very strange. And you're right, they completely abandoned bully ball. They kind of, well, not completely, but they abandoned just going north-south and trying to beat them up. Really quick, too, something A&M's not the greatest at protecting their quarterback, but Arkansas did get back there 3 times. They got some sacks. So that is at least, we talk about the positives. I would say that's something that Arkansas fans can still hang their hat on. This pass rush, I think it's legit. I think this is a pretty damn good pass rush that Arkansas has.
Drew Sanders is playing his way into being a high NFL draft pick, obviously. I do think that, Max Johnson made some insightful moves in the pocket and got away from, some rushes there that he would have gone down on. But really, I think you look back at 2 Chainz or whatever his name was probably the biggest difference in the offense. He showed a speed that Arkansas's defense maybe didn't have. He got some gaps, got through him, and obviously the 63-yard run he had was another big flip the field play that that will be looked back on, and you'll wonder why he got so open.
What'd you think of Miles Slusher tonight? This was his first game back since game 1. What'd you think of him?
To me, he made a few plays, but he also didn't make mistakes. We see guys all the time make mistakes. I don't know that, I'll go back and I'll review the film, as they say, over the next couple of days, but I didn't remember him making too many big mistakes. So that's when you're a relief pitcher, when you're a secondary guy, when you're the holder or snapper on a field goal, you don't want your name called. And, I think that for the most part, I think the secondary did a pretty good job. Now, tackling, this whole thudding stuff that they do now these days, and I know you do it because you try to stay away from injuries, but it's clear that people are still trying to thud and not wrap up. And, whether it's, Bumper Pool's a hell of a player, but he's got to wrap up. He can't take the shot every time.
He's missed a lot of tackles, and he did last week too. He missed several pretty easy tackles, and he's not the only one. Not trying to pick on him. The pass rush doesn't matter when you then give up 2nd and 30. It was disappointing more than anything.
That was ridiculous.
It was. It absolutely was. But I am going to say, we're told, for anyone who's new here, maybe you're new, the person that said that, we're told we're too negative when we focus on the negative. So we're trying to focus on a little bit of positive. And I do think this pass rush, now that's 20 sacks on the year through 4 games. That's 20 sacks. Think about where Arkansas was at the last 2 years and what they didn't have the last couple of years. They didn't have any kind of a pass rush. So that is something the defense can build off of. They've got to fix the missed tackles, like Dudley pointed out. Like anybody with a single eye could see, this team is not wrapping up. And
Stevie Wonder could see that.
It's bad. I mean, the missed tackles are bad. They're what should be a 5 or 6 yard dump off pass gets turned into a first down or more or a touchdown. I mean, it's just, this is Willie Robinson era football on defense. I'm just going to say it. This has been don't break. They're not. The bottom isn't falling out in terms of giving up points. I'll give them that. But then again, A&M is not a scoring powerhouse on offense. They're a bottom 4 SEC offense. They don't score a lot of points. And there were times tonight where it just seemed too easy. You should not be able to go 90-plus yards in 6 plays on a neutral, quote-unquote, neutral field at home or away. Doesn't matter. That was ridiculous. And then they did it again, six plays and 70 yards or something. It's just too easy. But I do think there are positives, and the pass rush is certainly one of them. I thought the offensive line tonight, Dudley, was pretty damn good. I mean, I don't think – was KJ sacked once? I don't think – was it? Maybe.
I think they did a good job of protection. I do think that there were times tonight when A&M's defensive line whipped them. A&M does have a pretty good defensive line and pretty good defense overall. But I think
they had 2 sacks.
They needed to get needed to get some yardage that they weren't able to. It can't always be KJ running over somebody.
No.
And I think that, this is a good line overall. One of Arkansas's players got bull rushed and they got the sack to KJ. I remember that, back in the backfield, and the kid just got knocked down. You can't have that. But,
no, you're right.
Overall, so many mistakes you could point to. Still should have won the football game.
Yeah. They should have. They left so many damn points on the field. Oh, so many, but at least we know for a fact 2 drives and then the field goal. So at the very least, I feel like they left 17 points on the field. And one more time, for the people just coming in, I don't think the better team won tonight. I do think Arkansas is better. I do think Arkansas belongs to be ranked. I don't really put a lot of stock in that. Just in terms of where we're at now, I know that's a great recruiting thing, and Sam's all about every advantage he can get in the recruiting game. We've heard him talk about that countless times. But this is one tonight, man. They have got to shake this one off if they want any shot at all against Bama. I mean, they've got to shake it off. At KJ, and I know he's probably going to be pretty hard on himself. If they want any shot in making this a game, I don't know. They better study hard, and I don't know. This one's going to linger. I feel like
here's a little secret. I haven't done my deep dive into Alabama and their team yet, but I'm not picking Arkansas this week.
So say that again.
I said I haven't done my deep dive into Alabama yet. Looked it all over, but I'm going to let out a secret. I'm not picking Arkansas to win.
Oh, you're not picking Arkansas this week. Lee Corso did. Corso said we're going to win this one and we're going to beat Alabama. I didn't actually see him say that. People in elsewhere were telling me that he said that. So I kind of feel like that might have been the kiss of death. Thanks a lot, Lee Corso. KJ needs to humble himself. I mean, look, man, he's a humble guy. I don't know. People keep telling me too that he's trying out for the NFL. Like that's what all this is. That's why he's turning the ball over, because he's trying to do too much. He fumbled the ball last year. This isn't anything new. I mean, he fumbled. I think he had 3, maybe 4 fumbles, and he's about at that right now. Let's hope he.
And 2 interceptions? I mean, the guy has had a great ball security. He made a bad decision tonight. I would tell it to him to his face. I'm sure that he knows it. You can see the look on his face. And I'm sure he will not try to become Air Jefferson anymore down there, at least from the 5, 4, 3. He might from the 1. But I bet if he does jump, he covers that thing up.
It reminded me of the Space Jam Michael Jordan when I don't know if you have ever seen that, but from the 1995 flick where he's
yes, I have watched Michael Jordan's. I refuse to watch LeBron James.
Yeah, I won't watch the LeBron James one. I have not watched it. My kids wanted me to watch it with them. I said no. There's only one Space Jam, and it's the one with Michael Jordan. Even as Celtics fans, it's hard for me to say because I did not like Michael Jordan in the 90s. But that's what it reminded me of, was that he's trying to stretch out and make the play. He's just trying to do too much.
I believe I can fly.
That's oof. Ooh, what about R. Kelly these days? Oh, man. Yeah, don't listen to his music anymore. All right, I do appreciate everybody. We're trying to keep it lighthearted. Look, this was a tough loss. Hog fans this is going to be a tough one to shake off. I imagine, I should be there on Monday around practice for, the entire 30 seconds that we get to watch. And I'm sure I'm very fascinated to see what Sam says on Monday after he's had a little bit of time to kind of think this one over. We get him on Monday, right? Am I crazy? Yeah, we get Sam on Monday. Of course we do. So, anyways, Dudley, I do appreciate you taking a little bit of time out of your Saturday evening, and it's not all bad for you and I this weekend. Pujols hit 700. He did it. Feels good.
It's thrilling to watch. I'm sort of now feeling for Mr. Judge. He is pressured,
Did you see that today? They kept cutting into the game, and what did he go at the plate, like 1 for 4 or something? Like maybe they jinxed him. Kind of felt, and they did that not only in the first game, but they did that in the Texas Tech game too. So They were really trying to sell that. It's a big deal. I get it. I don't want to hate on anyone from the Yankees, of course. All right, guys, remember to like, share, subscribe. Go to hogville.net for all the latest and greatest. Dudley Dawson, Otis, Kirk, Kevin McPherson, they have you covered, and we have you here. Make sure you please like the stream and subscribe if you haven't already, and check out all the links provided for you down below in the what used to be called the description box. Now it's like a more tab. You just click that. That's got our Twitter links, and it's got a link to hogville.net. Until next week, we'll see you guys around. On behalf of Dudley Dawson and myself, we'll see you when we see you.